You are about to cross into a world where fear is real. Real stories, unexplained phenomena, where the supernatural lurks in the shadows. From the portal of dread. Today's story, The Voice Next Door.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Tonight, we're peeling back the wallpaper on a place where the silence is far from empty, and the walls have ears, and a voice all their own. I had to move into that apartment. It wasn't a choice, more like the only option left on a very short list. After my Aunt Millie passed, I was adrift. No real family to speak of. Friends had scattered, and my job had evaporated. All I had was what little she left me, and a quiet dread of facing the world. The building was old, a crumbling brick affair in a forgotten part of the city, the kind of place where rent was cheap because nobody else wanted to live there. The neighbors, if any, were ghosts. It was the sort of building where the city itself seemed to have forgotten your address. The apartment was a shoebox, dark, always a bit damp. One bedroom, a living area that felt more like a wide hallway, and a kitchen practically sharing a wall with a tiny bathroom. But it wasn't the cramped space that got to me. It was the quiet, a heavy, thick silence, like the air itself was ancient and hadn't been disturbed in decades, like no one had drawn a proper breath in there for a long, long time. I tried to be logical. It's just an old place, Alex. You're tired, stressed, and it made a certain kind of sense. The mind plays tricks when you're down. Except, that first night, something shifted. It was just past 3 in the morning when I jolted awake. Not from a nightmare, but from a sound. A whisper, barely there, from the other side of the bedroom wall. I lay there, frozen, listening. My first thought was old pipes, the building settling, maybe a TV left on somewhere. But then I heard it again, clearer this time, sharper. Alex. My whole body went rigid, hearing my name like that. It was like a jolt of cold electricity. I sat bolt upright in bed, heart hammering. I waited, nothing. I got up, pressed my ear to the wall. Just the old, dead silence. I crawled back into bed but couldn't sleep. Maybe it was my imagination. Maybe I'd been dreaming with my eyes open. But there was something about the tone of that voice. It felt familiar, yet deeply wrong. It wasn't just someone calling my name. It was like it was expecting me, like it knew I'd be there, listening. The next night, it happened again. Same time, same whisper. Alex. It was definitely coming from the apartment next door. I was sure of it. But I hadn't seen anyone go in or out of that unit. The door was always shut tight. The welcome mat in front of it caked with so much dust it looked glued to the floorboards. On the third day, the voice said something new. I saw you hide the money in the drawer. I swallowed hard. A chill snaked up my spine. It was true. I'd stashed my last few $100s, folded inside an old sock, at the very back of my dresser drawer. No one knew. No one could know. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't me cracking up. Someone, or something, was watching me, and it knew things. After that third night, a part of me fractured. The voice knew. It knew things about me no living person could. Buried secrets, things I'd never told a soul, things I barely admitted to myself. I started writing it all down. I'd grab my notebook right after the voice spoke and jot down every word. Date, time, what it said. It was always between 3:15 and 3:20 a.m. On the fourth day, it said, "Why didn't you tell your mum you saw your grandpa die?" I started shaking. It was a memory I'd pushed down so deep. I was 7. My grandfather had a heart attack on the living room couch. I'd been hiding behind the curtains, playing. I saw the whole thing. I only ran to get my mum after he stopped moving. I never told anyone. On the 5th day, the voice whispered, "You still dream about the basement in your aunt's house, don't you? The basement. That damned basement. Where Aunt Millie used to lock me when I misbehaved. Dark, stuffy, smelling of damp earth and mildewed fabric. I hated that place. She said it was for my own good. But it was down there I learned to talk to myself in the dark, and to hear things I shouldn't." The voice didn't stop. Each night brought a new, sickening revelation. Things so private, I started to question my own mind. I tried recording it with my phone, but it never worked. The sound just wasn't there on the playback. No hiss, no echo, just silence. I began to think I really was losing it, but a stubborn part of me insisted it was real, tangible. The voice was testing me, watching my reactions to each unveiled secret. On Friday, it whispered, "You remember the cat, don't you?" And I knew exactly which cat. When I was 12, I found a dead cat in our backyard, a white Siamese. I buried it myself, told no one. But what I never told anyone was that later that night, I heard it meowing from where I'd buried it. I hadn't slept properly since. The voice kept on. "You dream about her, but she never answers. You pretend you don't remember the closet with the blood. You shouldn't have opened that journal." Each sentence chipped away at me. I started to dread going to bed. I'd lie awake, just waiting for the voice to start. And it always did. Same tone, unhurried, almost amused. I thought about moving, but something held me there. A feeling that even if I left, it would follow. The wall wasn't the boundary. It was just the beginning. I needed answers. I couldn't live like this, at the mercy of that whisper. So, I decided to confront the only logical possibility. The neighbor, the one supposedly living in the apartment next door, where the whispers came from. The next morning, I went to their door, rang the bell, waited, nothing. I knocked, once, twice, 3 times. Absolute silence. The door looked like it hadn't been opened in years. The lock was crusted with rust, the paint peeling like dead skin. That struck me as odd. I went back to my apartment, but I couldn't shake it. Hours later, I went downstairs to talk to the building super, an old woman who looked like she'd been part of the building's foundation for decades. I found her in the lobby, watering a plant that looked as ancient as she did. "Excuse me, do you know who lives in 305? She frowned, like I'd just asked her for directions to Mars. 305? Yeah, the apartment next to mine. She narrowed her eyes, her voice raspy. "Honey, 305's been empty for about 12 years. The floor seemed to drop out from under me." "Empty? What do you mean?" "I hear noises, voices." "Nope, no one's been in there since Mr. Abernathy. Well, since he vanished." "Vanished?" She nodded slowly. "Lived alone. After his wife passed, he got strange. Said he heard things. Said the walls were talking to him. One day he just up and disappeared. No body, nothing. Cops found zilch, and no one's been in there since. The owner sealed the apartment. Says it's bad luck." My skin went cold. I went back to my floor, and for the first time really looked at the door to 305. There was a small lead seal tacked to the doorframe. It was broken. Someone had been in there, or had never left. That night, the voice spoke with more clarity than ever before. "You thought I was gone, but I never left. I'm part of this wall, part of you." That's when I realized it wasn't just coming from the bedroom wall anymore. It was coming from the ceiling, from the floor, a subterranean echo that vibrated as if the entire building had lungs. I ran out of the apartment. I slept in the lobby, slumped on a dusty old sofa, unable to close my eyes. Deep down I knew running wouldn't help. The voice wasn't just in the room anymore, it was in me. After that revelation about 305, my grip on reality started to fray. Nothing made sense. The voice, once a mystery, was now a living threat, with hidden intentions and impossible knowledge. But what happened next? That's when I completely lost any sense of control. The following night, exhausted, I tried to sleep away from that building. I got a cheap room in a rundown motel downtown. It was grimy and smelled faintly of bleach and despair, but it was far from my apartment. All I wanted was silence, no old walls, no whispers. I managed to drift off for a few hours, only to be jolted awake by my phone buzzing with a notification, a text from an unknown number. "Come back. You'll regret it if you stay out." My heart leapt. My first thought was it was a prank, but then a second message arrived seconds later. "If you leave today at 8:17 a.m., the bus will crash, and the woman in blue won't survive." I glanced at the clock. 8:14 a.m. I was paralyzed. 3 minutes, until reality put my sanity to the test. On impulse, I scrambled to the motel room window. Outside, on the street corner, a woman in a blue blouse was waiting at the bus stop, alone. And at 8:17 a.m. on the dot, a city bus careened around the corner. losing control and hitting her with brutal force. The scream I heard was my own, echoing inside me louder than any whisper. I went back to my apartment, shaking. The voice greeted me like an old friend. "See? I know. I always know." From that night on, the whispers changed. They started predicting things. Small at first, a call I'd receive, an object I'd drop. Then, bigger things. "Don't answer the phone tomorrow. It's her, and she's lying." It was my ex. She called the next day. I answered. She told me she still loved me, wanted to get back together. 2 days later, I found out she was engaged to someone else. The voice had warned me. I started to depend on it. I began to wait anxiously for each new prophecy. It was like having a malevolent oracle embedded in my wall. But the feeling of having some kind of insight didn't last, because then it said, "In 7 days, you will die." Just like that, no beating around the bush. The 23rd, at 3:33 in the morning, in your room. I tried to run again, went to a cousin's place out in the country, didn't tell anyone where I was going, turned off my phone, avoided all tech. But on the second night there at 3:33 a.m., the unplugged TV in the guest room flickered on by itself. Black screen, no sound, until the image distorted and the voice oozed from the speakers. "You can run, but in the end, you'll listen. You'll always listen to me." After that, it didn't matter where I was. It found me, in the bathroom mirror's reflection, from a radio with no batteries, even in the sound of water dripping from a faucet. The world had become its echo chamber, and I was the tuning fork. I returned to the apartment. It was like something was pulling me back, an invisible tether anchored deep inside me. The 23rd loomed, and with it, a constant pressure, as if time itself was compressing, the days growing darker, the nights stretching into eternity. I did everything I could to stop what felt inevitable. I pushed the heavy dresser against the wall, nailed boards over it, wore industrial-grade earmuffs, blasted music all night, placed mirrors facing the walls, scattered salt at every entrance, muttered prayers I wasn't sure I believed. Nothing worked. In the pre-dawn hours of the 22nd, leading into the 23rd, the whisper returned. But not from the wall, not from the ceiling, from inside. I can't explain it. It was as if the voice had taken up residence within me, inside my skull, vibrating behind my eyes, under my skin. "Can you hear me now, Alex? Can you hear me from the right place?" I ran to the bathroom, threw up until I saw blood. I looked in the mirror, and for a split second, I swear I saw something behind me. A shadowy figure still leaning against the wall I had covered. Except, in the reflection, the wall wasn't covered. The wall was bare, white, like it used to be, and a shadow watched me from the other side, its head tilted, its face unseen, but its eyes were where mine should have been. I smashed the mirror. I grabbed a camcorder and set it up facing me in the bedroom at 3 a.m. on the 23rd. I decided if I was going to die, I'd leave proof. One last recording. I locked myself in, turned on the camera, sat on the bed, and waited. 3:10 a.m. Nothing. 3:20 a.m. The overhead light flickered. 3:30 a.m. The temperature plummeted. Everything felt like it was moving in slow motion. All sound ceased. Time stopped. 3:33 a.m. The camera recorded, but I don't remember a thing. I woke up the next morning with sunlight streaming into the room. No cuts, no marks, and most importantly, no voice. For the first time in weeks, silence was just silence. For a moment, I thought I'd won. But when I went to watch the recording from that night, something inside me shattered. The camera showed me sleeping, peacefully, breathing deeply, like a baby. But in the final minute of the footage, something moves in the background. The wall behind me begins to ripple, as if it's breathing, and a voice, clear, measured, confident, whispers, looking directly into the lens. He finally accepted. Now, he's one of us. The recording ends there. I tried to delete it, reformat the memory card. Nothing worked. The voice was trapped in the video, like a digital poison. And in that moment, I understood. Maybe the death it predicted wasn't of my body, but of myself. I should have destroyed that tape, burned it, buried it, anything. But curiosity got the better of me. It always does. I uploaded the video to a private cloud drive, shared it with a paranormal forum just to see if anyone could find a logical explanation, a technical glitch, an editing error, anything to prove I was still in control. But then the messages started. Watch the video, and now I hear whispers in my bathroom. The voice called me by my name, my real name. It's not in the video. My TV turned on by itself at 3:33 a.m. and the recording was on the screen. People from all over the country, from other countries, names I'd never seen, profiles with no pictures, newly created accounts, all reporting the same pattern. Something had started whispering to them too. Someone leaked the video onto the darker corners of the internet, and now it spreads like a silent contagion. They call it the wall tape. Some think it's an RG, others just a creepypasta. But whoever watches it to the end, they hear it. They always hear it. That sentence, that damned sentence, he finally accepted. Some people report symptoms, auditory hallucinations, behavioral changes, memory loss. One girl swore she woke up writing words she didn't remember learning. A guy tattooed the phrase from the tape on his arm in a language that doesn't even exist. But the worst are the ones who disappear. They just vanish. Leave everything behind, phones, IDs, just gone. Like Mr. Abernathy from 305, like I almost did. And now I ask you, would you watch that video all the way through? Because it's out there, somewhere on the internet, hidden among broken links, abandoned forums, and corrupted files. All it takes is a click, just let it play. But once you hear it, you can't unhear it. I'm proof of that. I live in absolute quiet now, no phone, no electronics. I'm in a remote cabin, barely any power. And still, every morning at 3:33 a.m. I hear it. A breath behind the wooden wall, a whisper that no longer needs my permission. And sometimes it doesn't say anything. It just laughs. And you know what's worse? So do I. If you want to see the original video, be careful. They say if you listen to the end, the voice finds a way to you. Could be in the wall, on your phone, in the hum of your fridge, or in the silence of your room at 3:33 a.m. So, will you watch? Let me know in the comments. Would you listen to the voice until the very end? If you want more stories like this, real or not, hit that notification bell. And be careful around walls. They've been listening a lot more than they let on.